Shoot, I think we got to get a lawnmower in here because this grass is just a little too tall, don't you think?
It's growing.
This is America's farmland, and without farmers, we starve. It's pretty much just that simple. And farming, of course, has a rich history in the United States, dating back, of course, to the beginning of time with the Native Americans and their Three Sisters planting. But when we started to colonize, an interesting thing happened. 90% of the people ended up and were farmers.
That's right.
Now, because of that, things have changed a little bit since then, haven't they?
Oh yeah. So let's take it back maybe to the 1900s. In World War I, the Germans developed what's called the Haber-Bosch process.
Wait a minute. You do that around here, you got to clean it up. The what process?
So it's called the Haber-Bosch process.
Haber-Bosch process. All right, I'm learning something here.
It was an artificial nitrogen fixation process that pretty much was used to make ammonia. And that ammonia was originally used to make explosives for the war. But it wasn't long after that farmers started using that ammonia in their fields because nitrogen is very necessary for plants to grow, and it helped with feeding the masses with increasing world population. To give you a little bit of perspective, the world population was at 1.6 billion in 1900. Now it's 7.3 and growing.
Wow.
So that was a lot of people to feed,
and our land is getting smaller because of that.
Right.
Because look at. We're urbanizing. Urbanization means we have to take the land from someplace, we have to take it away from the farmers. It's a mean thing, but we got to live someplace.
Exactly.
And yet the farmers are becoming fewer, and they have to feed more people.
So back then, it was perfect because it really, the farmers started seeing much higher yields when they were using this. But today, the farmers aren't seeing as high of yields because they're not seeing all the kind of organic matter has starting to been a little bit depleted from the soil over those numbers of years. So those nitrogen-rich fertilizers have also caused a few problems in our environment as well. All the excess nitrogen that isn't taken up by the plant gets washed off and gets and finds its way into our waterways, underground aquifers, lakes.
That's killing fish, isn't it?
Yeah, so what it's doing, it's producing these algae blooms that are starving the fish of oxygen, as well as, our human genetics. Because 80% of all the nitrogen in human tissues is actually nitrogen that was derived from the Haber-Bosch process.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. That technology was a huge impact.
So, are there simpler ways? What do we do? So
now, because farmers are looking for new ways to replace that organic matter back in the soil, because without those living microbes, it's a little bit harder for plants to grow healthier.
Soil is a living, breathing organism.
Exactly.
We don't want to kill them.
And we need to protect it, and we need to replenish it when we use all the nutrients from it.
So the first thing I think of, let's compost.
Yes, compost. Compost is a technology that's old as time, and it's pretty popular for replacing that organic matter back into soil. However, it's a very slow process. It requires a lot of real estate, and it's not as water soluble for the plants. It's not as immediately available.
And to put it into perspective, when you're talking about composting, we're looking at a 3-month to 6-month, sometimes even a whole year process to where it properly breaks down. And then a lot of times the way they test it is just by holding it in their hand, and it's a touchy-feely thing, but we really don't even know that it's been composted properly because there could be a huge food safety problem with that.
Yes, there's problems, especially when it's manure. There's a lot of problems with pathogens that can happen, but we've developed a technology called our progressive digestion process.
Progressive digestive process.
Yes.
Okay.
We call it PDP.
Okay.
And what that does is it's the kind of high-tech organic recycling process that bridges the gap between harmful organic waste materials and a nutritious, safe organic fertilizer in only 21 days.
Wow.
So we're
going from a 3 to 6 month to 1 year process down to 21 days. How simple does it get?
Yes, and it's much more efficient, much more safer. What we do is we kind of harness the power of the microbes that work when digesting those organic materials, and we pretty much they produce heat, and we trap that heat, and it gets heated enough to where it actually kills all the pathogens in the process. And so the final material is very microbially active,
Okay, so the things that are not good in a traditional composting that would be a problem for food safety, you have this process that you're using that wipes all that out,
Yes.
making it a food safe fertilizer.
Yes,
Oh,
and what's cool about that is those nutrients are immediately available for the plants. So once you put in the soil, those microbes in the soil don't really have to work to go and break down those nutrients so that the plant can absorb it, whereas they have to with compost.
Totally awesome. Okay, go get a lawnmower, let's cut this place up.